Thank you for joining me for another Quick Hits conversation. I'm Dr. Robyn. With me today, I have Dr. Bob Choat, Daniel Gramkee, and Dr. Wayne Buckhanan. The question I have, do you think that service providers who sell a mansion but deliver a shack realize they're shysters, or do they think they're doing good work? And this question came up for me because I have had several situations where people have come to me saying, oh, I can do all this great stuff. And then you invest in them and they don't do a good job. And one of my neighbors just had some yard work done and it took the guy 6 weeks to do a 2-week project. And it's just like, come on. So that's where this question came from. Dr. Bob, can you kick us off?
So this person hired a company to help to develop her book, to do the website for the book and everything. And she paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, and it was bad.
Do you think they knew they did a bad job?
Yeah, so I had actually had conversations with them, and they admitted that they were not that good because I was able to infiltrate in terms of their mindset and everything. Initially, they started off another way, but I ended up having that conversation.
So they knew they were being shysters. Okay.
Yeah, and I think in a sense that they knew that they weren't that good because they didn't have the staffing, they didn't have the people to be able to do it. I think it was just some people that had put together a business and then went out there and they tried to sell it, and maybe somebody told them that they were good in the past, and that's the way it actually came across.
I think that there's a combination of possibilities out there for these sorts of situations. Yes, they're totally aware that they're doing things that they're claiming things they can't actually deliver. I think there's a lot of folks out there selling the idea of fake it till you make it, and people believe that, and they want to charge that premium price and get in front of the clients they would like to be serving, but they're not really ready to do that. And working with entrepreneurs locally, I see people who, like, I'm going to do these things. And you start asking questions. You're like, maybe you're not. At least not for me. But the flip side is they may have made it, but something changed. Like they no longer have the same employees, or the corporate culture has gutted the drive to actually deliver well. So I think that there are both sides that, it's either fake it till you make it or make it, and now we're unintentionally faking it, let alone the disconnect between sales and delivery.
But the question is, is the awareness? Is that, are they aware, and are they truly selling less than they know that they're delivering? And that's, it's an ethical question. It's in some sense. And, when I saw the topic, it kind of reminded me of when because I was an actor long ago, and in theater classes and directors, they would, when you're playing the villain, they're like, okay, you can't play, Richard III knowing that you're an evil person and that you're, the villain. Does the villain know the villain is doing evil, right? So does Snidely Whiplash know that it's a bad thing he's tying the woman to the railroad tracks? But, so you can't approach it in that way. So is that who we're dealing with sometimes in business? And the answer is yes. I think some people truly don't know that they're delivering something less than. And, that's why I think it's so important, especially today, get referrals, find out from the voice of other customers, especially ones that and trust. That's why having a solid network is so important, because yes, some people do know that they're selling less than, and some don't. They're just selling bad product. And if people are buying it, it's somewhat on the recipient, the consumer. They have to own some of that, because, if they're consuming less than product, then that becomes a challenge for any of us who, elevate ourselves or think that we're selling, and trying to sell stuff that we know is superior, but so it's very multifaceted.
I had a situation where I did get referrals and went to someone and they referred me, and I ended up losing $25,000 to a shyster marketer. And I went back to the person and she was like, well, he was doing kickback and I made $2,500 on that. So, and I just felt so blindsided. So now I ask the question, I say, is there a kickback? And if there's a kickback, I'm out. I do not work. I don't give kickbacks, and I don't work with people who give kickbacks. I've been so burned.
But there's a lot of that kind of stuff out there that we have to watch. I had an advertising and marketing firm back in the 90s, and I did direct response. So one of the things.
How do we know? How do you watch?
Yeah. So again, it's finding other people that have bought the product. Go back and check it out, because the copywriter who writes the copy, they're going to get all the good stuff out of it, and then they'll add stuff. Then they'll put stuff that is not even in the book, and those are unethical people. So completely unethical.
Yeah. So, and when we find these shysters, then the question becomes, we as, if especially those of us that are sole proprietors or entrepreneurs or whatever, so then we kind of go, well, okay, I was wronged. And then when it comes time to review it, whether it's on Google, so do I leave an honest review, and then I'm risking retribution, and because so it really becomes awkward. And then if people aren't giving honest reviews, then does everybody who has a rating of 4.75 stars on Google, does it really mean anything?
Right. I don't think so. Yeah. And that is a challenge, because you're right. I do feel like you should review people, and I read something recently that said, if you're going to write a poor review, make sure you say, my experience was, my opinion is, I had this happen, not they are, because it's libel if you say they are, but if you say it's your opinion, they can't argue with you about it.
Well,
which is ridiculous.
The whole layer of, I've got the commitment and consistency. I made this choice. And now I have to admit that I was wrong publicly in making this choice to have a bad review.
Well, we all fall prey and victim, and we all make poor choices. I think that in some sense, but those are the reviews. Amazon, at least, people will leave it. But that's where, I think some of this too comes into play. It's this whole culture that we're in, where this instant gratification culture. And I don't think any of us on this call grew up with that. I really missed, hopefully this doesn't make a tangent, but I really missed that, because, if we take the time to do the diligence, and we don't make the snap decisions, and we don't, look for the shiny penny that we see online with the, click here and you'll have it tomorrow, then that's where we maybe have to take some of the responsibility ourselves to say, well, how did I get into this situation? So maybe when I approach my next venture of, is this a shyster or not? Maybe I'll take a little more time, a little more diligence. It doesn't have to, happen right away. So
I love that point, because I tell people all the time, I cannot compete with coaches who build really pretty shiny boxes and tell people, look, all your problems will be solved if you get in this box. I can't compete with that. I can't solve all your problems with a box, because it's not a thing. So if you want to go buy a pretty shiny box that's going to solve all your problems, do that, but don't ask me to compete with it, because that's not a thing.
Yeah.
I can think of one box where that qualifies, and none of us want to be in it 6 feet under.
Yeah.
Yeah, that box will work for you just fine. Bob, what were you going to say?
No, I just go back to the 1980s when Tony Robbins was coming up, and I met him back in the early 80s. And then he had his infomercial on, and people just started falling for that. They wanted that really quick self-help kind of thing. And then it just got worse. And then I see people doing the same thing on I think it was Ty Lopez doing way and promising this, and he doesn't even have the background on that.
So I think that's a really good place for us to end a conversation about whether people who sell pretty shiny boxes that are black on the inside are shysters or not. And I love your point, Daniel, about the awareness, and whether they are aware or not, we as consumers are responsible to notice. And it's hard. I've been burned a couple of times. So thanks so much for having this conversation with me. I look forward to speaking to each of you again really soon.
Thank you.